Like the jeepneys, how people just hang on to the back of a jeepney.
We saw a big garbage truck and two people were sitting on top of it going down one of the busiest streets in this city.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Al. Welcome to our planet. According to the United States Department of State's latest data, more than 4 million Filipinos and Filipino Americans live in the United States. However, did you know that almost 300,000 Americans actually chose to live in the Philippines today, including a large number of US military veterans? Today, we're interviewing 4 of our American friends who actually chose the Philippines as their home away from home.
Hello po, musta ka? Ako si Anna, and I'm from the US, the Midwest, so Michigan, tapos Chicago. I lived in the Philippines for almost 2 years. I lived in Quezon City for 1 year and Cainta for another year with my asawa. And you can find me on TikTok and on Instagram. And I'm also on YouTube too. I have my YouTube and my Instagram linked to my TikTok. So I hope to see you again there.
I am Laura Moreno from the YouTube channel Our Half Asian Adventure. I am from America and we're currently living in Mindoro, Philippines. We have been living here for almost 8 months now, my husband and I and our 4 kids. We have a YouTube channel called Our Half Asian Adventure and it's all about our family and the experiences we have here in the Philippines. We enjoy living like Filipinos and not just being tourists and exploring beautiful places, but actually immersing ourselves in the culture and raising our kids in this culture for the time being.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Isaac.
We are from the channel Tri-Fate Lifestyle.
Wow!
We're from Minnesota, which is a nice cold state up in the north, so the opposite of the Philippines.
Very different than here, very different. There's also not many people that live in our state.
No, not many at all.
We've been here for roughly 3 months now, somewhere in the 2-ish, 3-month range. But we've been staying in Quezon City in the Metro Manila area here in the Philippines.
It's been our home. SM North and Trinoma have been the home.
Yes, we go there quite a bit. There's some big malls.
Yes, they are. And we've been vlogging our stay here so far in the Philippines on our channel, Tri-Fate Lifestyle, and kind of just been going around Manila mostly so far.
Why did you move to the Philippines?
My husband was born and raised in the Philippines until he was 17 years old and he migrated to the US with his family. We met several years later and got married and started having children, but I always had this pull to go to the Philippines and experience life there to get to know my husband better and his family and his culture. And then when we had 4 kids, we really felt like it was the time that they needed to be immersed in the culture so they could learn the language and they could really understand that half of them, and that's why we moved to the Philippines. But more than anything, it was just this pull spiritually. We felt that we were needed here, that we could serve and we can help people around us.
That's an interesting one. It's always interesting to think back because Philippines wasn't really a country that was on our radar that much before 2 years ago.
No, not at all. Yeah, and we actually sort of moved to another country, Georgia, a while ago. So for it being Philippines now is very interesting as well.
We're K-pop reactors and music reactors, I guess, in general. Mostly K-pop, and a lot of our viewers were from the Philippines because K-pop is very big in the Philippines. And they wanted us to react to a group called SB19, and we didn't know they were P-pop until after we reacted to them.
We heard the language and we're like,
this is not Korean. And from there, we got a bunch of viewers from the P-pop community, and then we started reacting to geography content and started vlogging, and then naturally,
tons of people were saying, go to the Philippines, go to the Philippines, go to the Philippines.
We made it.
We took the risk and sort of committed to staying a while here.
Yes.
I am married to a Filipino, a Jonathan, and we've been together total 7 years. 4 years long distance, 1 year married long distance, so total 5 years long distance. And when we got married January of 2020, we thought we're just gonna be long distance for 6 months and then we'll have another big Filipino wedding and then he'll come to the US and we'll have a huge American wedding, you know. But you guys know the pandemic hit, diba? So we really cannot be together. I need to have a visa to even visit Jonathan in the Philippines. So I said, I always wanted to move to the Philippines and now it's a great excuse, diba? So I decided December 2020, I will finish my school, I will get an online job, and I will just move to the Philippines to be with my asawa. So that's where I've been since.
Is there anything that culture shocked you in the Philippines?
There were definitely things that shocked me about the culture. culture, and there was a whole perspective shift where I felt like all of my ideas were being challenged. And so the simplest things about how I'm raising my kids or my role in the home, all of those things were really challenged. It was just shocking to me that there was this whole other culture living that I didn't understand. And over the last 8 months of being here, I've really started to understand the culture, and things just aren't so shocking anymore. People live differently in different places all over the world, but yes, it's shocking at first. The poverty can be shocking. It's shocking how much rice they eat, how loud all the Filipinos are, and the parties they have. Everything felt shocking to me just because it was different.
There's a lot of people, and specifically the metro area. There's a lot of people
There's a lot
here.
of people.
We mentioned earlier, we're from a place that doesn't have many people. The town we're from is about 10 to 15,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you just go into like a little section of the city, you'd be able to easily find 10,000 people, and it would be nowhere near the same size as the place.
Probably these couple buildings next to us.
Yeah. So it's crazy. With the people comes so much busyness, so much traffic, all that stuff.
I guess another culture shock, I mean, just something that we saw today, like the jeepneys, how people just hang on to the back of a
We
jeepney.
saw a big garbage truck, and two people were sitting on top of it, going down one of the busiest streets in this city.
I think my reaction was just, we're used to it at this point. I just saw it and I was like, oh, that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah. In the U.S., you're required to wear a seatbelt when you drive.
Back or front.
Yes, you can't have, at least the state we're from, I think it might vary, but you have to be a certain age or height to sit in the front seat too. So there's a lot of rules and regulations. So when we see that stuff going on, we're like, oh my God, the tricycles, those things are pretty dangerous. I was riding one of those and my feet were almost hitting the street.
It's really interesting. It's fun though, to see all of that
It is
go down.
I don't know if this is really culture shock, but it's another element of things that we were sort of surprised by is we knew Filipinos were nice, but big cities people usually aren't as nice as the people who generally live in the country. But we meet a lot of nice people here in the big city, and it's one of the biggest cities in the world, and we meet a lot of nice people here.
Grabe. The biggest ones, I think, is how Filipinos will compliment you, but to an American, it sounds really mean. I'll give you an example, okay? So, as an American, when a Filipino comes up to you and say, you've lost weight, eat more rice, or the opposite, you've gained weight, why? I'm really feeling so bad. Talaga, I feel so bad about that. Because in the States, you don't talk about weight at all. And if you do, it's very rude. Maybe you're not gonna say it to that person, but maybe behind their back, but you never say it to the person like face to face. So when I hear that, I was feeling really insecure about myself. Am I really gaining weight? Am I really losing weight? And then I realized I'm not. So every time people tell me that, it's just, I don't know. I'm still not used to it, but I do understand it's normal, but it makes me uncomfortable. And I think it's probably not good for most people to hear that. I think personally, maybe I'm wrong. Talaga, maybe. And another culture shock I will say is the friendliness of Filipinos is really true. Hospitality of Filipinos is really true, diba? And the last culture shock is the treatment of animals is different. And I know if you first go to the Philippines and you're really a pet person, it might be difficult for you to see how some dogs and cats are treated. I understand there's not space, there's not always resources to have the lavish life that we see in the States because pets are really treated as children almost. But just like seeing them in cages, seeing them under the hot sun, seeing them tied up, seeing them hurt is really hard for me to see, especially because I have pets and I always had pets. But I'm not judging because I understand, I know it's different, but it's still hard for me to see, and I wish it was a little different. I wish there was more resources, more shelters, more adoptions.
Have you ever faced any difficulties, struggles, or uncomfortable situations in the Philippines? What would you say is the most challenging part about living here?
I definitely had different difficulties and struggles living here in the Philippines. Coming from such a comfortable life in America with so many amenities, conveniences, yeah, it was uncomfortable to come to the Philippines and change that. When we were looking for a place to live, it wasn't quite what I would be comfortable with in the US, if that makes sense. But the most uncomfortable things is just the situations where you're in a crowd with people and they're so shy to talk to you that you just feel so uncomfortable. You don't want to make them uncomfortable by trying to talk to them because you know that it's a struggle for them with English maybe, but you really feel isolated and you're the center of everyone's attention being white in the Philippines. It can be really hard. Over time, I don't mind at all because I understand now why that's so intriguing, why it's so interesting to see a white young woman walking down the street. But now I've just learned to embrace it and I sell taho on the street, and I try to really immerse myself with everybody else and just live like them, and it's so fun.
The difficulties and struggles all involve getting to places, I feel like.
Definitely.
We've gotten accustomed to using the metro, which, at least where we are, isn't always super busy, and that can usually void the traffic. But if we aren't going anywhere that we can get to with the metro, it's very challenging to get there in a timely manner.
Yes, I mean, just getting somewhere that's a couple kilometers away can take 40 minutes.
It's pretty crazy. Literally in the morning and anytime after 4 p.m. you're just screwed. There's very small windows. For uncomfortable situations, a lot of times it's just when people like ask us for money or stuff, or sometimes they'll ask for it in their own language, whether it be Tagalog or Bisaya or something like that, and we don't know what's happening. We're like,
or if you get into a situation where like the taxi driver's scamming you, but you can't exactly understand what he's talking about.
Making friends with Filipinos as a foreigner is difficult. And I've talked about this before, and there's many layers. There's language, there's culture, there's a lot of history, and I understand as an American why a Filipino might be shy, might be intimidated, might have some resentment, and I understand. I know the history. So I'm not really saying it's a bad thing, but it's something that I did not realize would really happen, because every time I visit my husband, Filipinos are so friendly, talaga so friendly, inviting me, telling me to eat more, food trip. But when I actually moved there, I'm noticing Filipinos are hanging out a lot, they're talking a lot, but not so much deep conversations. And I'm noticing now that it takes many, many years to have those deep conversations. It takes a long time to really get to know a Filipino heart to heart, I think. And I was surprised by that. I thought it will be easy. In the States, I can make friends very easily. Americans, people think we're rude and standoffish, which some are, but I think most Americans are very friendly. They want to get to know you. They ask a lot of questions about your job, your family, but Filipinos don't ask as many questions, I think. And it's also strange that a lot of Filipinos really know English well. So even if a Filipino knows English and I know English, but they're still not going to speak to me. Kawawa ako. I was so lonely. This might upset you guys, and every time I talk about it on TikTok, I get a lot of negative comments. It's quite sad, but I get a lot of stares, a lot of unwanted attention, which is normal. But in the States, it's very rude to stare. Oftentimes, in big cities like Chicago, it's dangerous to stare at someone because they will take that as a sign of aggression. So when I go out, I was in Quezon City, I've gone to many, many malls before. In the province, I understand. But in Manila, it's very difficult. The people are really bold sometimes, and it's almost always a group of older, middle-aged Filipino men, but it goes past a glance. It's very sexual, it's very fetishization me. It's very, sana all, I want to have an American wife, I want to have white babies. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. My husband's so uncomfortable. So it's really hard to date because we go out on a date and everyone is staring at us. There's comments being said. I just don't feel very safe. I get less attention when I'm just by myself in the mall, but I have never been really in a dangerous position, but that's because I only leave my house once, maybe twice a week.
Now that you've experienced living in the Philippines, have your perceptions changed prior to moving here?
My perceptions have changed so much now that I am friends with local women here and I live beside them and work alongside them and serve with them. People are people all over the world. My biggest fear coming here was that I wouldn't have any close friends, that I wouldn't really be able to connect with anybody because of the language barrier and the cultural differences. But my expectations were wrong. I can be really close with people here, and I'm building this community of people that I just love, and we're such good friends. So what you see on the media or, just from a distance in America, looking at the Philippines, I'm sorry, but before I just saw poverty. That's not really the case. Yes, they don't always have as many conveniences as us or a lot of luxuries, but they're very content and happy and hard workers. And living here, I'm so grateful I have the experience so that I can really understand Filipinos. I can really see who they are. And it's not portrayed from a movie, a documentary, or something I've seen. There's amazing people here that are supporting their families, and they are resourceful, and they take care of their possessions until they're worn out completely. They're so grateful for what they have. That is what I'm taking away from this experience of living here and not focusing on the things that I knew beforehand.
Yes. a bit. Just the range of socioeconomic situations for people in the city. It can go from
A BGC or Ortiga, something like that.
yeah to
Literally right outside those areas.
yeah, it's just stark.
Yeah, where we're from, a lot of, at least the city specifically we're from, basically everyone's pretty similar on their income. It definitely varies, but it's not as stark for sure.
It's more town to town in the US, I would say, where here it's like a neighborhood and then the next neighborhood next door. Like if you walk into it, suddenly you're like, oh wow, this is quite different.
Before we came here, our perception was skewed because there's areas that we saw that were fancier than we expected and areas that we saw that were less fancier than we expected.
Yeah.
So it was sort of both ends.
I expected it to be cheaper than it was when we got here as well. That might be because we frequent the malls
Chain
for food,
restaurants.
but the prices are slightly cheaper than the US, which we expected it to be more like...
I mean, we were just in Malaysia and that was still cheaper than here.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, it's much cheaper. We did not expect that.
Did not expect that. We've spent a lot of time in the country of Georgia, and I expected it to be more like that, those prices.
Yeah, you could get some nice meals for $4
Yeah.
for a person.
So that's another...
We do eat a lot of food too.
We do. A lot of times on the menu it says 4 to 5 people, and we order it and eat it all.
My perception of things have changed since living here. I will say I grow in patience a lot. I am not very anxious or depressed anymore. Even with few friends, I feel a lot of the pressure of society in the States kind of wash off me. It's really freeing to be in the Philippines if you have a stable income, of course. So, being on time, having all these expectations that Americans have, go, 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 go. We're always busy, really always busy. But the Philippines is so laid back. There's an aspect that people judge you a lot, but in a different way than Americans judge you. So it's relaxing, but a little, frightening at the same time. Mentally, I'm more healthy there, and I just like living slower. It's really nice to sit and just have fellowship with other Filipinos because that's what Americans are not good at.
Knowing that you're currently living in the Philippines, what Filipino words or sentences have you picked up along the way?
I know how to count. Isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat, lima, anim, pito, walo, siyam, sampu. I know some colors. Dilaw, verde, azul, pula, puti. I know random words like bulaklak and isda, asin, pininyahang monok. And I also know little phrases that we use with our kids like tayo na and all the body parts like kili kili.
Kamusta ka? Mabuhay.
Salamat po.
You gotta add the po.
Po. Po in general.
Mahal kita or something like that.
Sige sige. Bugok is idiot and buhok is hair. Very close.
My favorite Filipino expressions, diba? Talaga? Ay, nako. Hang! I should know more. Pasensya na. Maraming salamat po. Paalam.